One rainy day, a man sits alone in his truck, staring out at the storm as it rages on. But it's not just the weather that's heavy, it's the storm in his life that begins to break when he uncovers his wife's devastating secret. What happens when betrayal shatters everything you thought you knew about love and trust? The rain pounds relentlessly against Greg's truck, a constant barrage of water that makes it nearly impossible to see through the windshield. He's parked in the lot of the Heritage Cottage Buffet, his workplace for years. The world outside is drenched in a dark, heavy storm that seems to echo the turmoil in his chest. He grips the steering wheel tighter, feeling the cold air inside the truck, but it's the weight of his thoughts that chills him to the bone. Greg never liked the rain. There was something about it that made him feel trapped, as if the sky itself was shutting him in. He watches the storm from inside the truck, its intensity matching the uneasy feeling that's been gnawing at him all day. It's been a long, difficult week. His marriage with Amanda, the woman he thought he knew, has been distant, strained. They hardly talk anymore, and when they do, it feels like they're speaking different languages. His mind races, wondering if it's always been this way, or if the distance between them has only grown in recent months. The sound of the rain tapping against the roof of the truck grows louder, almost suffocating. The storm seems endless, but so is the turmoil inside Greg's heart. A sharp, unsettling thought strikes him today will be different. He doesn't know why, but deep down he feels it in his gut. Something is about to change. He just doesn't know what. As if on cue, a beige VW convertible pulls into the parking lot. His heart skips a beat when he sees it. Amanda's car. A rush of memories floods his mind, the times they spent driving around together, laughing, talking about the future. But now, as the rain continues to pour, those memories feel distant, like they belong to someone else's life. Amanda steps out of the car, and Greg watches as she links arms with a man he doesn't recognize. They laugh together, a carefree, intimate laugh, and in that moment, everything in Greg's world shifts. His breath catches in his throat, his pulse spikes. It's as if time stands still. They walk toward a nearby motel, Amanda's hand resting on the man's arm, as though nothing in the world could be more natural. Greg's mind races. He feels the earth beneath him begin to crumble. His wife, the woman he thought he knew, is walking into a motel with another man. His whole body trembles with shock and disbelief. The world outside continues to fall apart with the rain, but inside his chest, something inside Greg breaks. Greg's hands shake as he watches Amanda and the man disappear into the motel. The storm rages on, but Greg feels as though the world around him has gone silent, as if everything he thought he knew has just been erased. His mind, numb with shock, drifts back to better days before the rain, before the affair. He remembers when he first met Amanda. They were young and carefree, full of hope and dreams. He remembers their first date, how they laughed all night, sharing stories and getting to know each other in a way that made him feel like he'd finally found someone who understood him. The memory of her smile, the sparkle in her eyes, feels like it happened in another lifetime, so long ago, yet so vivid in his mind. He remembers their wedding day. Amanda looked stunning in her white dress, walking down the aisle with her father's arm around her, her eyes locked on Greg's. He could still feel the warmth of her hand in his as they exchanged vows, promising to love each other forever. Back then, it felt like the beginning of a lifetime of happiness. They had a family. They built a home together. Everything seemed perfect, or at least it was enough. They had their ups and downs, like any marriage, but Greg always believed that they were a team, that no matter what happened, they would face it together. But now, as Greg sits in the truck, watching the woman he once loved walk into a motel with another man, those memories feel distant, like they belong to someone else. How did they get here? How did everything fall apart? Greg can't pinpoint the moment when things began to change. Was it the long hours they both worked? Was it the way they stopped talking, stopped sharing their lives? Or did the cracks in their relationship run deeper than he ever realized? As he sits there, the rain continues to fall, a backdrop to his heartache. The man he once was, the man who believed in their love, feels like a ghost now. The future he imagined with Amanda growing old together, raising their daughters, has been shattered. He feels like he's losing not just his wife, but the life he thought they were building together. The rain outside mirrors his grief, drowning everything he once knew in an ocean of pain. The rain continues to lash against the windshield, but Greg barely notices it now. His gaze is fixed on Amanda as she steps out of her beige VW convertible, her movements slow, almost deliberate. She glances around the parking lot as if making sure no one is watching, but Greg knows this moment isn't about hiding, it's about betrayal. Her hand links with the stranger's, and they share a quiet laugh, their heads leaning close to each other. The laughter is warm, intimate, and it cuts through Greg like a knife. Greg's pulse quickens, his chest tightens, and for a moment he wonders if he's hallucinating. Is this real? How could it be? But there's no denying the truth standing right in front of him. Amanda, the woman he shared a life with, is holding the arm of another man as if nothing has changed, as if their years together meant nothing. He watches, rooted to the spot, as they walk toward the nearby motel. His stomach churns, a pit of dread forming deep inside him. The man beside her is tall, his features blurred by the distance, but it doesn't matter. All Greg can focus on is the way Amanda looks at him, the familiarity in the way she touches him, the ease in their connection that Greg hasn't felt in years. It's like a slap to the face. His thoughts spiral faster and faster, unable to grasp the enormity of what he's seeing. Greg's mind is reeling. He had always known something was off between them. Amanda had grown distant, cold even. But he never imagined it would come to this. The betrayal is like a physical weight, crushing his chest, making it hard to breathe. It's as if the world has tilted, and he's struggling to keep his footing. A cold wave of nausea washes over him. He wants to scream, confront her right there, but he can't. He's frozen in place, unable to process the reality of the situation. He watches as they enter the motel, his heart pounding in his ears. The door closes behind them, and that's it. The woman he trusted is with someone else. Greg sits there, utterly paralyzed. The rain keeps falling, but he's no longer aware of it. The world around him fades into nothingness, and all that remains is the harsh truth of his wife's betrayal. As the minutes drag on, Greg's hands tremble on the steering wheel. The world around him seems muffled, as though he's underwater, his mind swirling with disbelief. The storm continues its relentless pounding, but it doesn't compare to the storm raging inside him. Every inch of his body aches with the shock, the anger, and the heartbreak that comes with the realization that Amanda, his wife, his partner in life, has been unfaithful. His mind flashes back to all the times he thought something was wrong, but never acted on it. The late nights at work, the distracted phone calls, the times she'd come home from spending time with friends and not seemed quite herself. He had pushed those thoughts aside, rationalized them, told himself they were just insecurities. But now, in the brutal light of this moment, everything falls into place. The betrayal unfolds slowly, piece by painful piece. His stomach turns as he remembers the last few months, how Amanda's behavior had changed, how their conversations had grown more strained, how her attention seemed divided. He had tried to reach her, to make things work, but she had only pulled further away, her focus elsewhere. And now, as he sits in his truck, the truth is undeniable. She's been seeing someone else for who knows how long. The silence in the truck is suffocating. Greg grips the steering wheel, trying to steady his racing thoughts. A part of him wants to confront Amanda right then and there, to storm into that motel and demand answers. But he knows that's not what he needs. What he needs is clarity, space to understand what has happened, to process the devastation he's feeling. The world around him feels unreal, like he's in a dream he can't wake up from. He's lost. Everything he thought he knew about his marriage, about Amanda, is shattered. And all he's left with is this gnawing sense of betrayal and the sickening knowledge that his life, their life, will never be the same again. The minutes tick by, stretching into what feels like hours, but Greg remains frozen in his truck. The rain keeps falling, relentless, as if nature itself is mirroring the chaos inside his mind. His heart pounds in his chest as he sits there, unable to move, trapped in a storm of emotions he can't escape. He wants to drive away, run from the pain, but he can't. His entire world is collapsing around him, and he's too paralyzed to do anything about it. Tears begin to blur his vision, the sting of betrayal cutting through him more sharply than the rain. He grips the steering wheel tighter, his knuckles white, trying to hold on to anything that will keep him grounded. But the more he thinks, the more the weight of the situation sinks in. He tries to convince himself that maybe he's overreacting, maybe he misunderstood. But deep down, he knows the truth. Amanda's laughter with the stranger still echoes in his mind. The way they moved together, the ease in their touch, it was all so real. There's no denying it. She's been unfaithful to him, and that truth is eating him alive. Greg's breath comes in shallow gasps as the overwhelming sense of betrayal begins to suffocate him. He's always been a quiet man, not one to confront problems head-on. His stuttering, a part of him he's carried for years, has always made it difficult for him to express himself, to find the right words when it matters most. And now, as the devastation crashes down on him, he feels more lost than ever. His thoughts spiral, his chest tight, his throat closing up as if the words he needs to say are trapped inside him. But there are no words left to say. His heart aches and his mind is screaming, but nothing comes out. All he can do is sit there, numb, as the world continues to drown in the storm. He doesn't know how much time passes, could be minutes, could be hours, but eventually his body shakes with the weight of the realization. He's done. He can't go back. Their marriage, everything he thought they had, is over. There's nothing left to hold on to. The storm outside may eventually pass, but Greg knows he's at a crossroads. He can't go on like this. He has to make a choice: stay in the ashes of a marriage built on lies, or walk away and begin the painful journey of healing. Greg's hands feel cold as he reaches for the door handle of his truck. His body is stiff, and his mind is numb, but somehow he forces himself out. He's been sitting in his truck for far too long, and he knows he has to face reality, even if it's the hardest thing he's ever had to do. He walks slowly toward the back entrance of the Heritage Cottage buffet, the familiar sights and smells of the restaurant offering no comfort. It feels like a different world now. The worn floors, the scent of grease and spices, the clattering of dishes, it all feels so distant, like a life he no longer belongs to. As he enters the kitchen, he's greeted by his coworkers. They don't know the storm that's brewing inside him. They don't know what's just happened outside. But Greg does, and nothing will ever be the same. His manager, Carl, calls out to him, asking if he's ready for his shift. But Greg barely hears him. His thoughts are elsewhere. Everything feels muffled, as if the noise of the world is slowly fading away. He forces himself to look at Carl, and in that moment it feels like everything around him is closing in. The weight of his decision presses down on him like a ton of bricks. "I'm sorry, Carl," Greg says, his voice rough, barely more than a whisper. The words feel strange in his mouth, foreign, as if he's never said anything so final in his life. "I'm done. I can't do this anymore." Carl looks at him, confused. "What do you mean? You just got here." But Greg knows he can't stay. He can't keep pretending that everything is okay. The betrayal, the lies, it's too much. He needs a break from it all, from the place that's been a constant in his life but now feels like a prison. He needs to walk away, to reclaim some small part of himself that's been lost. Carl's face twists in confusion and concern, but Greg doesn't explain. There's no explanation that can make sense of this. He walks out without another word, leaving the kitchen and the life he's known behind. The restaurant, the job he's held for years, doesn't matter anymore. Not after what's happened. As he steps out into the rain, the cool droplets hitting his face feel strangely cleansing, like they're washing away the remnants of his old life. It's over. There's no going back. The drive home feels like a blur, the world passing by in a haze of rain and numbness. Greg's mind is spinning, torn between anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. He has no idea how he'll confront Amanda when he gets home, no idea how to even begin to piece together the shattered fragments of his marriage. His thoughts race, and he can feel the storm of emotions building inside him again, threatening to boil over. When he finally pulls into the driveway, the house seems eerily quiet, almost too still. The familiar surroundings that once brought him comfort now feel foreign, like a house he no longer recognizes. He steps out of the truck, his legs shaky as he walks toward the front door. Each step feels heavier than the last, the weight of his decision pressing on him with every movement. Inside, the silence is deafening. He's never felt so alone, despite the fact that Amanda is just a room away. She's already home, no doubt unaware of the storm he's just weathered outside. Greg's hands tremble as he places his keys on the kitchen counter, his heart thundering in his chest. He doesn't know what to say. How do you confront your wife when you've seen her with another man? How do you even begin to explain the devastation that's consuming you? Amanda enters the room, looking surprised to see him back so soon. Her eyes flicker with uncertainty, but she says nothing. She knows something's wrong. Greg can see it in the way she avoids his gaze. The tension between them is palpable, suffocating. Amanda, Greg starts, his voice catching in his throat. The words are stuck, tangled up in the mess of emotions swirling inside him. The stuttering that's always been a part of him, the part of him he struggled with for years, makes it harder to speak. But this is no longer about words. This is about the truth. She looks at him, her expression unreadable. "What's going on, Greg?" she asks, her voice soft, almost too calm for the situation. It's as if she's bracing herself for something, but Greg can't tell if it's guilt or confusion that's behind her demeanor. He takes a deep breath, his fists clenching at his sides. "I saw you," he says, his voice strained but steady. With him. The man from the motel, his chest tightens as he says the words out loud, as if the act of speaking them makes them more real, more painful. Amanda's face pales. For a moment she says nothing, her eyes widening in shock, but it's quickly replaced by a mask of defiance. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. She doesn't need to say anything. The silence speaks volumes. Greg can feel the knot in his stomach tighten. He doesn't need to hear the truth from her lips, he already knows it. But the words that follow, the excuses, the lies, they come anyway, tumbling out in a rush. She tries to justify her actions, explains that things have been complicated, that she was just looking for something, but it doesn't matter. The words ring hollow in Greg's ears. There's nothing she can say that will make this right. The betrayal is too deep, too consuming. "I don't know who you are anymore," Greg says, his voice breaking. "I don't know who I am now that this is all real." The weight of her infidelity crashes down on both of them. Greg's heart aches as he realizes that the life they had built together is gone. The love they once shared, the life they had fought for, is no more. As the tension between Greg and Amanda reaches its breaking point, a phone call interrupts the suffocating silence. Greg stares at the screen, seeing Colleen's name flash across the display. She's the one person who's always been there for him, the person he trusts the most. But even Colleen's familiar voice can't offer him the comfort he so desperately needs right now. He answers the phone, his voice hoarse, tired. "Hey, Colleen," he says, trying to steady himself. But the crack in his voice betrays the pain he's feeling. Greg, Colleen's voice is soft but concerned. "Are you okay? I just wanted to check in. I've been hearing things about Amanda, and I wanted to make sure you're all right." Greg's stomach drops at her words. He's known for a while that Colleen is close with his daughters, and he can sense where this conversation is heading. "Yeah, I'm fine," Greg lies, though his words ring hollow even to himself. He looks over at Amanda, who is standing across the room, her face full of regret, but still distant. He can't help but feel a wave of anger toward her, but it's the look of helplessness in his daughter's eyes that haunts him the most. Colleen doesn't buy his lie. Greg, the girls. They know, don't they? There's a painful pause on the other end of the line. "I talked to them earlier today. They're upset, Greg. They're hurting because they know what's going on." Greg's heart sinks. His daughters, the two people he's been trying to protect through all of this, are already caught in the storm of betrayal. He can hear the worry in Colleen's voice, but he feels utterly powerless. What can he say to them? How can he explain something so broken, so irreparably shattered? They don't deserve this, Colleen continues, her voice thick with emotion. You need to be there for them, Greg. For all of you. Tears fill Greg's eyes as the weight of the situation hits him fully. He's not just fighting for his marriage anymore, he's fighting for his family, for his daughters, and for the future he's tried to protect. The conversation with Colleen only deepens the rift. His daughters know, and the damage has already begun. But he knows, too, that his own healing begins with them. He has to do whatever it takes to rebuild their lives, to salvage whatever he can from the wreckage that's been left behind. The air in the house grows colder as the finality of Greg's decision settles in. His eyes linger on Amanda, whose posture is stiff, her face a mix of guilt, anger, and confusion. This moment is a point of no return. They've been circling this breaking point for so long, both of them trying to ignore the cracks in their marriage, hoping it would heal on its own. But now, those cracks are too wide to ignore, too deep to fix with hollow apologies or empty words. I'm leaving, Amanda Gregg finally says, his voice low but resolute. The words taste bitter, like a knife twisting in his gut, but they need to be said. He can't keep living in this lie, pretending that everything will just magically work itself out. Not after what he saw, not after what he's felt. Amanda's face twists in disbelief. What are you talking about, Greg? You can't just leave like this, she stammers, her voice rising. We can fix this, I swear we can. Her words are desperate, pleading, but Greg knows deep down that nothing can fix what's been broken. The trust is shattered beyond repair. His heart aches as he looks at her, the woman he once loved, but now he feels nothing but a hollow void in place of the love they shared. I can't keep living like this, Greg says, his voice barely above a whisper. The weight of the decision is crushing, but it's also a relief. For the first time in a long time, he feels like he's finally doing something for himself, something that will help him heal. He needs to escape the constant reminders of Amanda's betrayal, the lies that have poisoned everything they had. I'm leaving. It's over. Amanda's face crumbles as the realization hits her. Greg, please, she pleads, but Greg doesn't waver. He grabs his bag, slinging it over his shoulder, and turns toward the door. Before he steps out, he looks back one last time. It's not anger he feels, but an overwhelming sadness. Their marriage, their life together, is nothing but a distant memory now. There's no more fight left in him, only an aching desire to get away, to find something resembling peace, even if it means leaving behind everything he's known. As he walks out into the night, the storm still rages outside, but it doesn't matter anymore. The emotional turmoil inside him has reached its peak, and as the rain pelts down on him, he feels like he's stepping into a new chapter of his life, one that will be hard, painful, and filled with uncertainty, but one that he knows he has to face if he ever wants to find healing. Greg doesn't know where to go. He just knows he can't stay. His mind is a whirl of chaos as he drives aimlessly through the rain-soaked streets, the headlights of his truck cutting through the storm like a fragile beacon in the dark. He doesn't know if he's looking for answers or just running from the pain, but for now, all he can do is keep moving. Eventually, he pulls into a small motel on the outskirts of town. It's a far cry from the life he had known with Amanda, but right now it feels like the only option. The familiar comfort of home is gone, replaced by this cold, impersonal space. But it's his space, a place where he can begin to sort through the wreckage of his life. As Greg sits on the edge of the bed, the weight of everything that's happened crashes down on him. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the years of memories that have been tainted by Amanda's lies. He tries to take it all in to understand what it all means, but it's too much. His mind spins in circles, and the overwhelming sadness threatens to drown him. But there's one thing he knows for sure: he has to move forward. For the sake of his daughters, for the sake of his own sanity, he has to begin again. He can't stay in the past, clinging to what's gone. He has to look ahead, even if that means starting from scratch, even if that means facing an uncertain future. His daughters are the key to his healing. The phone call from Colleen made him realize that they need him more than ever, and he can't let them down. He can't be the father they deserve if he stays mired in the past. The road ahead is uncertain, but Greg is determined to take the first step toward rebuilding. It won't be easy, and it won't be quick, but he's willing to fight for his family, for his future. As the storm outside finally begins to subside, Greg feels a flicker of hope. It's small, fragile, but it's there. He's not sure what tomorrow will bring, or the next day, or the next, but he knows that he has to keep moving forward, one step at a time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more gripping tales.